There are also those who've criticized our decision to end parts of Constellation as one that will hinder space exploration below low Earth orbit. But it's precisely by investing in groundbreaking research and innovative companies that we will have the potential to rapidly transform our capabilities, even as we build on the important work already completed through projects like Orion for future missions. And unlike the previous program, we are setting a course with specific and achievable milestones. Early in the next decade, a set of crewed flights will test and prove the systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit. The systems required for exploration beyond low Earth orbit.
Water, how do you recycle the oxygen? It's the main crucible test bed where we've been trying to grind out all the lessons that will eventually let us go to the moon, that will eventually let us go to the moon.
Astronauts to the moon.
Well, that's a great question. The plan that NASA has is to build a rocket called SLS, which is a heavy lift rocket. It's something that is much bigger than what we have today, and it will be able to launch the Orion capsule with humans on board, as well as landers or other components to destinations beyond Earth orbit. Right now, we only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to. And we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
The technologies that we're testing out on Space Station are definitely helping us with our goals of going beyond low Earth orbit. So we have a really robust exploration program at NASA.
I'm not going to tell you the title of the sermon yet. What I want to do is I want to ask you a few questions. It's not going to be unorthodox, it's just going to be questions. Raise your hand if you agree with what I'm about to say. Do you agree that the government or science lied to us about evolution? Raise your hand. Do you believe and agree that the government or science lied to us about the Big Bang? Do you believe and do you agree that the government lied about our Earth? What I'm going to preach to you is that the Earth is actually flat and you've been lied to your whole life. So let me ask you a few questions. Those of you, I'm not going to put anything against you. I'm not going to make you feel bad. Raise your hand if you believe that the Earth is a sphere. It's okay. Let me ask you something. Do you know anything why you believe that? Let me ask you 4 questions that you should know if you honestly believe this. 1. What is the angle of the axis of our rotation of the Earth? About 23.5, correct. How fast does the Earth spin around the sun, according to science? Raise your hand if you know the answer. What is the formula for the curvature of the Earth if you believe that the Earth is a sphere? Nobody? Okay, so what the formula is it's 8 inches per mile squared. So one person, maybe 2, had the answer to all those to two of those questions. But you guys believe in something, right? You guys believe in this thing, right? But do you honestly, from your heart know anything about it? Or do you believe it because you've been taught it since you were a child? In the same way we're taught evolution from childhood, everybody in this room raised their hand. They told me they do not believe in the Big Bang. You know you have to believe in the Big Bang to believe that the earth is a sphere? You don't get to pick. The reason I say that is because the earth is spinning around the sun, according to the science, because of the sun's gravity. The sun is traveling through our galaxy at 515,000 miles per hour. Why is it doing that? Because of the Big Bang. And our galaxy is continuing to travel even faster than that into nothing. Obviously, the galaxy is traveling through the universe, but the universe is expanding into nothing. That's what science tells you. So you have to believe in the Big Bang to believe that the earth is a sphere. You don't get to pick. And people that try and make this distinction, no, the earth is a sphere, and it's circling around the sun, and our galaxy is moving at 515,000 miles per hour, and there's billions of other planets, and there's billions of other stars, but the Big Bang isn't true, and evolution isn't true. You don't get to say that. It's the unholy trinity. You have to believe in three, or you don't get to believe in any of them. In Proverbs 18 and verse 13, it says, "He that answereth a matter before he heareth it, it is folly and shame unto him." So if you already made up your mind about what I just told you before I told you any scripture, that's a shameful thing to do. I want you to keep an open mind, keep your eyes open, read what I'm telling you. You're going to go to each verse with me. In Hosea chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of God, I will forget thy children." So the Lord has shown me this to be true. And science proves this without a doubt, and I'll show you that as we go through. So the earth is a circle, but I'm going to explain everything to you from the Bible first. So what you're seeing on top, you see that circular dome looking thing? That is what's called the firmament. That is what the Bible calls the firmament. So you're in Genesis chapter 1. It says, "God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the water." So this is creation. What happened is there was water, and God put a firmament between it. You see that dome? I'm going to explain to you what that is through scripture. That is the firmament. And everything is within the firmament, not out in the universe. Let me prove that to you. And it said in verse 7, "And God made the firmament and divide the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament." So you see that there's waters which we have under the firmament, sea, land, that's under the firmament. Then there's waters also above. Keep that in mind. Above this firmament. What does firmament mean? Well, firmament, the first word firma, actually just means solid, and ment is just the end of a noun. So it just means solid thing. If you look in Ezekiel chapter 10, in verse 1, it says, "Then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them, as it were, a sapphire stone, as the appearance of the likeness of a throne." So above the cherubims is God's throne. And there's a firmament above them. And it says, as it were, a sapphire stone, the appearance and the likeness of a throne. I believe that to be describing the throne itself, not the firmament. There's a firmament above the head of the cherubims where God's throne is. Where God's throne is, it's describing a firmament under him. You see that? The firmament is under it. So I'm going to show you what a firmament actually is. Revelation chapter 4, look in verse 6. "And before the throne there was a sea of glass, like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne, round about the throne, were four beasts full of eyes before and behind." So what is the firmament? It's a sea of glass. It is described by the Bible. The word itself actually does mean solid thing, But according to God's word, it's a sea of glass. And that actually makes sense when you look at Genesis chapter 1. You need something that is hard to divide water from water. So I'm telling you that the firmament is what divides the waters from the waters, and it is essentially like a circular disc, is what the earth is, with a dome on top of it. And this dome is glass. Maybe not what we think of as glass, but God created a solid thing. Job 37, verse 18. It says, "Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong and as molten looking glass." So the firmament is glass. It's as molten looking glass. The firmament was under the throne, that sea of glass, and it is also what divides the waters from the waters. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a printout from Wikipedia. And remind you, I'm describing the firmament. There's something called Operation Dominic, and if you look at the right, you see that explosion at the right there? That explosion on the right, it says Dominic Chama. I want you to keep an eye on that. You see that? So what happened is, if you look at the last sentence in the first paragraph, it says, "The Thor missile was used to lift warheads into near space to conduct high-altitude nuclear explosion tests. These shots were collectively called Operation Fishbowl." So what happened was the government, when they started making missiles that were powerful enough that they thought they could break through the sea of glass, they, during the Cold War, used the Cold War as a tactic for exploding high-altitude missiles to try and break through what they already knew was the dome on the earth. And I'm going to prove all this to you that the government has always known that the earth is flat. It lies to us through TV, through the media, through movies. It makes you believe the world is a spinning ball hurtling through space like a marble. They even called it Operation Fishbowl. Does that not make you feel any more like you're in a flat earth with a bowl on top? They called it Operation Fishbowl, and it was to shoot missiles into space because they thought they had the power to finally break through the firmament. And actually what happens, if you read the rest of the article, these missiles would hit up at a certain altitude, and then light would shine all the way to the other hemisphere. And the reason that was is because they were hitting that glass, and the glass was reflecting it all the way across the sky. Why would they just shoot a missile in the air to see how high it can blow up? Are they just playing with rubber bands? Like, they're doing it for a reason, and they called it Operation Fishbowl for a reason. And also their original name was Dominic Charma. Dominic is from the late Roman Italic name Dominicus, and it means belonging to God. And then that word chama is a fixed, massive, irregular, inequivalent shell. So they originally called it the shell belonging to God, but then they just termed it Operation Fishbowl. Genesis 7, look in verse 11. It says, "In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open." So, some people will just look at this figuratively. But when you realize that the earth is flat, you start to see the Bible a lot more literally. everything starts to be more literal. Stars falling to the earth, the sun and the moon being within the firmament will make a lot more sense when we start going over how the sun and the moon circulate the earth, not the other way around. We do not circle the sun. That is false. That's a false teaching. So what's happening here is when he's opening the windows of heaven, remember we said the firmament was dividing the waters from the waters. So when he's opening the windows of heaven, what is coming down? The waters that he had divided. That's how he's able to flood the entire earth. How do you flood a ball earth that's spinning like a tennis ball? Have you ever seen a wet tennis ball and you throw it and all of the water comes off of it as it's spinning? Well, they say the reason that the water doesn't leave the earth is because of gravity. But if gravity is strong enough to hold in trillions of tons of water to the earth, but a balloon can fly, a bird can leave the earth at any point, you don't have to feel like you're being pulled down at every second, but trillions of tons of water are held to the earth. Does that make any sense? What actually is happening is it's called density. So anything that is more dense than air will sink in air. Anything that's more dense in water will sink in water. Why is gravity stopping you from, let's say, you know how Isaac Newton, got hit on the head with an apple? That was because the apple was more dense than the air. And he got hit. If he was in water, that apple would have stopped right on the water. Why is the apple not going through the water if it's gravity pulling it down to the center? Because it's not more dense than the water. It's just a simple matter of density. They try and make gravity seem like the all-encompassing thing. And that's why they say because of gravity, we can have multiple universes. Because of gravity, we can have all these things happening. Why is it that there's no observable form of gravity on Earth? There is no object massive enough to have other objects come cling to it in the way that the sun does. They say that the sun is so heavy that the earth and the moon and all the planets circle around it. But if that is the case, why is that not observable anywhere on the planet? You cannot see that case anywhere. And if the gravity of the moon is strong enough to bring the tides in and out, why would that ever happen if the moon has less mass than the earth? Shouldn't the thing that has more mass be bringing the gravity to it? Not the thing that has less mass bringing the gravity towards its way? It doesn't make any sense. Their logic doesn't make any sense. And the pictures that you see of space, the pictures that you see of all these planets and all these galaxies, NASA has admitted that they're all fake. They're CGI. And they say they have to be CGI because they want you to believe a lie. And let me just tell you, satellites have got to be the stupidest thing. Have you ever seen a satellite? Doesn't it just look like R2-D2? Like they're messing with you. They're messing with you. They say the satellites spin around the Earth in the thermosphere. The thermosphere is 2,500 degrees Celsius according to their science. And the satellites are made of titanium. It burns at 1,600 degrees. It melts. They lie to you. They just mess with your mind. They say it's made of gold. Gold has an even lower melting point, 1,200 degrees. It's like embarrassing, some of the things that they're willing to do. And I'm going to show you some pictures from NASA of how they just completely and blatantly lie to our face. But they make you to believe that anybody that tells you differently is a crazy person. These are actual depictions from NASA of what the Earth has looked like over the years. These are literally from NASA, released to the public. Look in 1975. See that big massive thing of clouds, but then you can see a little bit of continent under it? Look at 1997. You see the size all the way to the right. You see the size of that continent? 1997, the size. But then look at 2012. Right here, right in the third row over in the bottom. Look how big that continent got. The Earth's the same size, but that continent grew a lot, didn't it? It grew a lot over the course of the years, right? But then look at 2002, a completely new size. You have right here. This is where the United States would be. And then 2015, you can't even really see a continent. And then 2007, you're almost able to see every continent in the one picture. So their pictures are changing from year to year. They're never the same, they never look the same, they never match along the earth doesn't look the same. Look at the colors don't match, the sizes never match. The earth is always the same size, but everything in it is just a mess. Because God's allowing them to just mess up, do strong delusion, and everybody just believes it. They flat out just believe it.
Last week, scientists at NASA released this. The shot is compiled from data from NASA's VEERS instrument, which orbits the Earth about every 100 minutes, taking measurements of light coming off the planet. That can be translated into ribbons of imagery like this, and then into one of these. And this is just the latest in NASA's Earth from Space album, which may be one of the most mind-expanding collections of images in human history. Then in 2002, Blue Marble 2.0, NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it was a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space. But I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Many lines of evidence to show that Earth is round, including Apollo photos of the round Earth.
And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth. There are so many proofs that the Earth is round, it's difficult to know where to start. And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument. I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have orbited the Earth once every 90 minutes. You know, I have had personal experience with people that have been up in space and can see with their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all of these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be. It is photoshopped, but it's.
Remember, we're talking about the earth and the water and how the firmament is dividing the water from the water. Look in 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 5. For this they willingly are ignorant of, that by the word of God the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. So what's that word there to use there to describe the earth? Standing. The earth is standing out of the water and in the water. That's describing the division of the waters from the firmament. But there's a reason he says the word standing. Because it's not rotating. Because it's not spinning. Because it's not hurtling through space like a marble. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 8, it says, God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. So God is calling the firmament heaven. So that means the things below the firmament, he'll also term heaven, and the things above the firmament, he'll term heaven. And that's why if you've ever heard of Paul ascending to the third heaven, who's read that? Ascending to the third heaven, there are 3 heavens if you think about it in the flat earth model. So you have the heaven below the firmament, the heaven above the firmament where the waters are and actual heaven is, and then there's a third heaven where God sits, because remember there's a firmament dividing God's throne from the angels below him, right? Because we went over that earlier. So that's the third heaven, but if you believe in the globe earth theory, there's 4 heavens. Because mind you, you have the earth, then space, they term the second heaven, and then the third heaven would be the area below God's throne, and then the fourth heaven would be where God sits, because they always forget that there's a firmament dividing God's throne from under heaven. Let me prove that to you. Go to 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 12. It says in verse 2, I knew a man in Christ above 14 years ago, whether in the body I cannot tell, or whether out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. Such a one caught up to the third heaven. And I knew such a man, whether in the body or out of the body I cannot tell. God knoweth. How that he was caught up into paradise and heard unspeakable words, which is not lawful for a man to utter. So he's caught up into paradise, and he's caught up into the third heaven, hearing unspeakable words. I believe those words were from God. I believe that he was hearing these words from the Lord. Ezekiel chapter 1, I'm going to show you that there are 3 heavens. The heaven that we visibly see, which is the stars, the moon, the sun, all within the firmament. The heaven above the firmament, which has the waters and where the angels are, according to Scripture, and then the heaven above that, which is where God's throne is, the third heaven. So in Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 22, it says, the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was the color of the terrible crystal. So what's that firmament describing? Again, it's the terrible crystal, that glass that we were talking about. Stretched over their heads above, and above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. So that, remember, we were talking about the throne being a sapphire stone and the firmament below it being that glass. So you got the crystal, then the sapphire stone, that's that third heaven. Because mind you, the only other place the second heaven could be would be between the 2 firmaments. Because you have the earth's firmament, then the firmament dividing God's throne, that makes 1, 2, 3 heavens, where Paul is hearing the unspeakable things. In Psalm chapter 19, in verse 1, it says, the heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. So handiwork is only used one time in the Bible, and it describes something that you would use your hands to create, like a sea of molten glass. If the heavens are declaring the glory of God because the sun and the moon and the stars have their own glory, the light, but the firmament is showing his handiwork, that's him creating something over the heavens, the firmament. That's what that is. Turn to Revelation chapter 6. And they never show any stars in the background. I want you to always keep that in mind. There's never any stars behind the earth. There's never any stars behind the moon, because they always forget to put them in there. But they say there's infinite amount of stars in the universe. And if there was an infinite amount of stars in the universe, you would only see light when you looked up. You would only see light when you looked up. No matter how long it takes the light to get here, the light's already here. They're saying our universe is, remind you, you have to believe in the Big Bang Theory to believe this is true, because the light is coming from millions of light years in the past. So when you're seeing this light, according to them, it was millions of years ago that you saw that. Well, that is coming now. That sun could be exploded by now. That sun could be gone. But you're seeing the light coming from it. And they say there's an infinite, I'll go over the exact numbers, but they say there's almost an infinite amount of stars in the universe. And if that was true, you would see nothing but light everywhere. There would be no spot, there would be no light. But there's only, and when you look, it's funny, if you do like a time lapse of the stars, you always see the same exact stars. But if you're traveling through space at 515,000 miles an hour, around the sun at 1,000 miles an hour, why are you seeing the same stars every single year at the same exact time? It doesn't make any sense. It's foolish. So in Revelation chapter 6, look in verse 14, it says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll, when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said unto the mountains and rocks, Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb." So, what did it just say departed as a scroll when rolled together? The heavens. Remember, the heavens are the firmament. So once the firmament is departed as a scroll rolled together, not, the spinning ball earth, where it doesn't matter where it departs, only half the earth is going to see him. But when those heavens depart as a scroll, every eye sees him. Every bondman, every free man sees him, and they see his throne. So that means both firmaments were rolled apart. Because remember, there's still a firmament under his throne. So the heavens departed as a scroll as it is rolled together. The firmament opens. And obviously when the firmament opens and the other firmament opens, you can see God because he's right above you. He's not like some weird generation away. He's not in some multi-universe. Why would God create a tiny little earth and make you one of a billion? Everything he does has purpose. The sun has a purpose. The moon has a purpose. Stars have purposes. Why would he make millions of galaxies and make you nothing? The earth is the smallest. It doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. They want you to believe a lie so that you don't believe in God. Do you know how many more people would believe in God if you knew you lived on a flat earth and that you knew God was right above you? Literally right above you. There's a firmament on top of the earth. Above that are the waters that divided. And then above that is God's throne. God's right there. That's why when we get to the circle of the earth and he's looking down upon us like grasshoppers, is because he literally is. And he's right there. And he can take a lot more account of us if he's right above us. Revelation chapter 1, behold, in verse 7, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him. Every eye. And they also which pierced him, and all the kindred of the earth, shall wail because of him, even so. Amen. Some people will say, oh, every eye's going to see him because we all have TV. No, there's plenty of hoarders out in nowhere's land that have no TV, no anything. Every eye will see him. On a ball earth, if he's coming with the clouds, he better time that correctly, because that earth is spinning real quick. And only a quarter of the earth is really going to see him. Honestly, if it's a ball earth and you're spinning, not every eye is going to see him. But every eye will see him when the heavens depart, and he comes straight down. So in Daniel chapter 4, it's talking about a tree, and it says, the tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven. So the height is reaching above the clouds unto heaven. It's going very high up. And then it says, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. So we'll go over the fact that the earth actually does have ends. and that it's not a ball, it is actually all held in together. But it's showing there that if something is tall enough or high enough, you can see it from every end of the earth. If there's a tree large enough, obviously the base would have to be very, very wide to make it all the way to heaven. And God's word is saying the sight thereof, and the sight thereof to the end of the earth, every eye can see it. In the same way that every eye will be able to see the glory of Jesus when he comes down. It's going to be literal. Everything in the Bible, assume it's literal unless it's, it has to be metaphorical. And it says in Matthew 4, verse 8, again the devil taketh them up to an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. So some people say, well, obviously it's a miracle because, you can't see all the kingdoms of the earth. But why would it say an exceeding high mountain? And why would it say showing him all the kingdoms of the earth? Because the mountain has to be extremely high if you can see across a flat earth all the kingdoms of the earth and the glory of them. So you have, even on a very, very clear day, on a very, very high mountain, you could see a lot of land. You could see all the kingdoms at that time. And I believe there's a reason it says an exceeding high mountain. It would have just said he just took him up and he saw everything. There's a reason he brought him to an exceeding high mountain to show him all the kingdoms of the earth. So you're in Genesis chapter 11, look in verse 1. And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime they had for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city, and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And let us make a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. We'll get into the face of the earth, and how that actually means a literal face of the earth, and how God only uses the word face describing flat surfaces. But face of the earth. And it says in verse 6, the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the children of men builded. And the Lord said, behold, the people are one, and they have all of one language, and this they begin to do, and now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. So if this was a foolish task, if this was something stupid, and if this was unaccomplishable on a spinning ball earth, then God wouldn't have came down. God wouldn't have made it a problem. And some people will say, people in the Old Testament always believed that the earth was a sphere. They say that to make their theory seem more clear. But if they think the earth is a sphere, why would they try and build a tower unto heaven? Where are they trying to go? What are they trying to do? They want to go unto heaven, and they said that whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered. So they knew that they could build up. They knew that something was above them. And they knew, because pretty much everybody knew until the 1600s, until the last 500 years or so, that the earth was flat. It's just more recently where they could easily plague us from the newspapers, from movies and TVs, that everybody just believes a lie from birth. What's the first thing you've seen when you walk into any school, anything, anywhere, even churches today? A big globe. The sun, moon, and stars are within the firmament. We are not spinning around them. We are not, just hurtling through space and they're everywhere. No, they're all within the firmament. Look in verse 9, it said, God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place. Remind you, there was waters below the heaven and above the heaven. Be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. And God called the dry land earth. And then the gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. So when Earth is spinning continually and you're seeing the same exact stars, and I don't know how that's possible in their theory. The reason that God created stars and the sun and the moon was for signs and for seasons, and the sun was given to give heat on the earth, and the moon was given for a light by night. Look in verse 15, he said, let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven, to give light upon the earth, and it was so. And God made 2 great lights. So the moon is a great light. Who's heard that the landing on the moon was faked? Has anybody heard that? Most people actually believe that, but they still believe in the sphere Earth. The reason the moon landing was faked is because you can't land on a light. It's not possible. See the blue sky, and then you see the moon? If the moon had a shade on it, that would be black. You wouldn't be able to see blue sky behind it. That's a fake when they show you the moon in space. This is what the moon really looks like. It's a light. It's not something you can land on. That's why you can see through it. Because it's a light, and God has given it to have different seasons. So, when he calls it a new moon, he means the light is fully shining. But when it's lesser moons, it's not shining as much. That's why you can see blue sky behind the moon, because it's in the firmament. It's in the sky. It's within our own enclosed system. If this was the shade of the sun, this would have to be black, because that's what a shadow is. Black. So you're in Genesis chapter 1, it says he created 2 great lights. The greater light, the sun, to rule the day. The lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament. I don't know how many times he can say it, but he said it at least 3 times so far. In the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. So reasons for the sun and the moon to give light upon the earth. And in verse 18 it says, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Turn to Mark chapter 13. I'm going to prove to you without a shadow of a doubt that the moon is a light and not a terrestrial plane that you can land on. Because mind you, when it was land, God called it earth. He would have said a light and an earth. Because when it was land, he called it earth. But he's calling it a light. Look in Mark chapter 13 and verse 24. And it says, in those days, after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. The moon's own light. If the moon was giving the light from the sun, it would be the sun's light. It's her own light. This is a literal picture from NASA that they released to the public. And in their fake CGI imaging right here, you can see that they're taking this picture from behind their false moon and their false world. And the sun is shining on the earth, but it forgot to shine on the moon. It forgot right here. There's no sun here. There's no light here. This was released to the public. There would be light here if the sun was behind it. This should be illuminated. It's darkened because it's fake. And the moon's a light. Revelation 21:23 reads, and the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon to shine in it. For the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So why would it mention the moon as a light if it wasn't giving it off its own light? You wouldn't need that extra wording there. It doesn't make sense. First Corinthians 15 verse 41, it says, there is one glory of the sun. It's talking about the light shining from it. It's talking about the light given off of it. And that's why it describes the glory of God. It's talking about light. There's one glory of the sun and another glory of the moon. Moon, own light. own light, another glory. Not the same glory. And then it says also, and another glory of the stars. So the stars also have their own light. For one star different from another star in glory. So different brightnesses, different lights. And mind you, if the moon is a light and not a plane, everything you've ever been told is a lie. Everything you've ever been told is a lie, because the moon can't have gravity if it's a lesser light. And actually the moon and the sun are the same size. Why would they look the same exact size and be exactly the perfect distance away from each other to look the exact same size? If the sun is billions of times bigger than the earth, or however many times bigger, and it would have to be the perfect distance away, and the moon would have to be the perfect distance away for them to be the same exact size. It doesn't make sense. They're the same size. One's just a light for night and the other's a light for day. They're in the firmament. Turn to Ezekiel chapter 32, verse 7. Verse 7 says, "When I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven and make the stars thereof dark, and I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and I shall set darkness upon the land." So the reason he says it will be dark is because the moon will not give her light. The moon is a light. I'm just going to beat this right into the ground. Jeremiah 31, verse 35. I actually had to cut out about 40 more verses of this just because it was too repetitive, but I really need to show you this. Jeremiah 31, verse 35 reads, "Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances," keep in mind, ordinances is like a setting of something, you set ordinances. So the ordinance of the sun and the moon would be the rotation thereof. And it says the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night. So the moon is a light, and the stars are a light for night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 10, it reads, "For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine." The moon's light, her light. The moon gives off its own light, and it is not a plane you can land on. That's why the moon landing was a fake. And that's why the guy looked like a nut job when he was trying to explain how he landed on the moon, because you can't land on a light. It's just not possible. It doesn't make sense.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any. I don't remember seeing any.
Whilst
from
in
Mark
space,
Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Yeah.
All
because
the
you
time.
can see. So you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
And pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Yeah.
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon. The sky is a deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon.
And we could not see stars.
It's not a black void. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
And when you're in space and you're looking into deep space and you're on the sun side of the orbit, the sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You
right?
can see moons.
You see the gas Magellan clouds of the Milky
you
Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic.
The sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Then when you look out into deep space away from the sun, it's the darkest black you can imagine.
Just the inherent beauty of it, the velvet, bottomless bucket of the universe. In like just hanging there in a vast sea of darkness, and the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars. From
In
Mark
space.
Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
And the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Sky, of course, was black, but it had sort of a velvet sheen to it.
The biggest visual surprise was just how black the sky was. You have a brilliant sun, brighter than any sun you normally would see, even here in New Mexico. You have these extraordinarily high mountains. We were in a valley deeper than the Grand Canyon. But then you have this black sky, a sky blacker than black. It's the old Vidicon expression used to be.
There's all the stars there. And the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
I've often tried to explain the difference between darkness, when you turn out the lights and it's dark in here, or blackness. Blackness is the endlessness of it all. It's hard to comprehend.
Pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again. But going to Mars should be one of the next series of steps that humans do. The first step should be going back to the moon for a number of technical reasons and exploration reasons, and then after that, Mars, maybe high orbit in Venus atmosphere, maybe going to Europa. There's all kinds of targets to go to, places of interest in our solar system. The only limit to human future is in our own imaginations. The only limit to human future is in our own imagination.